All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next week of the GameDev stream. Oh, man. I am anxious to work on this today. Again, my week has just been insanely busy of working on another project, which I was finally able to announce, which is really cool. Got the Vehas Gems is the second project that I have been I suppose you could say contracted to do the programming for. It's a cool like match 3 RPG game, but that's been eating up a lot of my time lately, so I haven't been able to have as much time to work on Dread as I would like. But you know what? That's just kind of how it goes, you know? Man's gotta eat, man's gotta make money somehow, and Dread's not quite there yet, but you know, one of these days, right? Hi, Chris. Good to see you. All right. So today, I pretty much left off right where we left off last week, which with the user interface system looking how it was. But I want to do something a little different today because I'd spent so far 2 streams working on that fancy little user interface thing. Well, kind of. More like 1 and maybe a quarter, because the first one I was trying to fix bugs, but, you know, I don't want to get stuck in a rut on the same thing. And so today, instead of working on that particular user interface element, what we're going to do is we're going to work on adding NPCs. And this is a very critical part of the engine because it's going to open up a wide range of stories and interactivity that we will be able to achieve, and it will also allow me to begin work on the main campaign. This is essentially the last major engine element before I can work on the campaign and get that rolling and start telling the story that I've built this engine to tell. So I'm really excited about getting this going, and today that is going to be the primary focus. So let's jump right in. So right now in the game we've got 2 types of enemies. We've got our character, who's the player, and we've got the zombies. We want to, of course, add in more enemies. We don't want it to just be a generic zombie game because that's, well, generic. But unfortunately, at this time, I don't have additional art for the enemies, so we're going to work on that at a little bit of a later date. But for today, we're going to start adding in some of the other NPCs that I do have artwork for. So we can put those in and we can rock and roll on that. If we open this up, and I'll pop it open here so we can look at it. We've got a couple of different heads. Now, characters in this game are broken down into various body parts. We've got feet, head, and body. So every NPC is made up of 3 layers. Every character, whether it's the player or the NPC, is made up in layers. So we've got 4 different heads, and each one of these heads can be mixed and matched with the different bodies and the different feet to kind of create some variety of characters. So we're not looking at, you know, cookie cutter characters all throughout the whole game. And so it also adds us a bit of character customization. So if we don't want to be, you know, a particular character, we can mix and match and kind of create our own character to however we want to do it. So this is good, and I'm excited about that. I don't not entirely. Yeah, right now we've only got 4 different types of heads, 1 body, and I'm pretty sure only 1 set of feet. Yeah, that's all we got. There's our little feet just walking along. So we don't have a whole lot of character customization at the moment. You know, that will roll as we get more art assets and all that kind of stuff going. And once an additional function I plan on adding into this is to be able to load external assets, so you can draw your own characters. You draw your own head and your own body and your own feet and make your own custom character that way. But for now, we've got 4 heads, a body, and feet. So the variety of characters is limited, but still usable. So what we need to do is we need to create a character object. So we're going to create a new object, and we're going to call it, well, let's just make it easy and call it NPC. And our NPC is going to have the, yeah, we're just going to give him the body sprite, just so that we know what he looks like when he shows up in the list here. Because we're going to define the layers and all the different sprites in the creation and draw events of the NPC itself. Another advantage of doing it this way in the multiple layers is, and this is something that hasn't been put into the main character, but what we can do with the NPCs is we can have it so that if our character, our little NPC guy's just standing in one place, he can turn his head side to side and kind of look like he's looking around, you know, maybe shift his feet a little bit, look around. The body can turn independent of the feet and the head, so we can do a lot more like quasi-animation and bring more life to the characters that way. And so we'll be introducing a couple of little random elements in the animation part of things that way too, just to bring a little more life so it doesn't look like they're just pasted into the level and static objects. So I've got several different ways that I plan on defining the NPC behavior, and there's going to be a whole new set of triggers types specifically for that. Well, I guess there's only one. It's set NPC behavior is the type, but the events are going to be things like set them to sit still, or, you know, stay in one place, set them to wander around, set them to follow the player, set them to follow other objects, so you could have it follow zombies or follow other NPCs, and also have it to follow, set it to follow a path, so that you can, in a way I suppose you could say, create cutscenes of a kind. Aren't really cutscenes, just more like interactive elements where the character's going off and doing something to present some of the story. So one of the things I plan on having in the campaign, for example, is like as part of a like quasi-tutorial option, is you can go on a quote-unquote tour of the immediate area of your character of the level before things go bad. And so you're going to have an NPC character that's going to kind of lead you around and walk around to different locations and stop and talk about things and then wander off to the next location. And it's basically just going to be a simple pathfinding system that will connect between triggers. So you place the triggers in the level, and then the NPC will follow, you know, you'll tell it set NPC behavior, you know, go to trigger, or whatever I'm going to call it, and it will find a path, find the best path to that trigger location. And then from there, you can set that trigger that on collision with that NPC name, you'd name the NPC, on collision with that NPC, set NPC behavior, go to trigger, and you'd connect it to the next trigger. And so you'd have this chain of triggers, and the NPC would just follow along the chain. And then when you got to the end, or you could have it so that when it got to this point, it set a timer and displayed some text so that your NPC walks up, stops for a little while, talks for a bit, and then moves on to the next trigger. A whole bunch of different ways. I mean, that's one of the best things about this, is that the options are essentially limitless. Whatever you want your character to do, you can make a trigger arrangement to have that happen. So we're going to start off with defining the NPC's sprite. And I do want to have it so that we can define exactly what they look like via the triggers as well. So I guess that would be another trigger type, is trigger type define character. Maybe we could have that as a trigger, or actually I think that instead of as a trigger, we're going to have that as when you place an NPC in the level, you can have it so that it'll be randomized, or you can have it so that it'll be fixed, and then we'll have like a little user interface thing that'll pop up, and you can scroll through all the various options, and so that you can just place a character in there, a specific looking character if you want to do that, or just have it randomized. So we're just gonna start off. Well, let's see. Should we do it in the create? Yeah, let's start off with create. So we're gonna have we'll call this head sprite. Head sprite equals 0, because all of the NPC heads and all of the NPC body and feet are all inside of one sprite, and so it's just a matter of which sub-image, if you will, is the one that's currently selected. So for the head sprite, 0 is our main character, our default main character's head. So we're just gonna stick that in there, and actually let's change that. Let's put that as number 1 as the default. And the reason for that is we don't want our player confusing an NPC with their own character, unless it's intentional by the level designer. So let's do body sprite equals actually maybe not sprite, we're going to call it body head image, because if we're going to have various bodies and various legs and heads, especially once we start loading external assets into it, we're going to have to be able to define those elements. And so we're going to go ahead and just separate them out into body image, head image, and feet image, and then head sprite equals, and let's see, what do we call those? Well, head S. Well, that for once my naming convention makes sense. And body sprite equals body S, and feet sprite equals feet S. Okay. And body image and feet image, because those are animated, I'm actually thinking I'm going to separate those out into their own individual sprites, depending. The head is static. It's not animated, so we can just use one static subimage for each head. But the feet and the body are animated. They've got multiple frames of animation for each one of the for each element, and so we can't really just define one particular subimage. So we're going to have the head have a special subimage, but everything else is going to be defined by sprites. And even the head sprite is going to be have its own sprite defined, because, like I said, we're going to be loading external assets, so we want to do a little bit of future proofing here, so that we're not having to go back through and gut out our code and make it more modular. Alright, so we've got bam right there. Now, if we define this as just one, then we're going to be stuck with the one particular one. So we're actually going to make this a random. And we're going to do iRandom. Let's see, we've got 4, so if we do, actually technically we have 3, because I don't want it to randomly generate a player character, because that would be confusing. So iRandom2 will give us a random number between 0 and 2. And so if we do 1 plus iRandom, then we are going to have the head be every head that we have except for the default player head. So that's good. Alright, so we'll stick that there. That's good. Start on our create. We're going to stick a draw object, or a draw event in here, and we're going to have to draw out all of our sprites. We're going to have to draw the first sprite, which is the feet, and you have to draw them in their correct order. If you draw the head first, then the body, then the feet, then it'll look like your guy's upside down, and we don't want that. like some kind of Star Trek transporter accident mess. Alright, draw sprite. Man, this code window is huge. Let's shrink down this code window. That's a bit unwieldy huge. We don't need it that big. There we go. Alright. Anyway, draw sprite. Sprite is foot sprite, or did I call it feet sprite? See? Naming conventions. I think I called it feet. Stop it. Reasonably certain I called it feet sprite. Reasonably certain. Yep, I called it feet sprite. Oh, okay. Speaking of unwieldy large code windows, come on, work with me here. Alright. Head, body, feet. So we got feet sprite. We can just call it image index. Location is XY, which is where the character is currently standing. And when I added all of those assets, like the body, the feet, and the head, you have to make sure that their origin point is in the correct location. Like for the head, the origin point is where the neck would be on the head and stuff, so that when we rotate the images or rotate them in any particular way, they rotate around the correct point, and we don't get some weird like out-of-body head flying off the body and the feet going the other way kind of thing going on. Alright, so we got body sprite, image index X, Y. There we go. Now, one more. Draw sprite, head sprite, image. Actually, we have a specific one for the head, don't we? Head image X, Y. Chris asks, what's the second parameter for draw sprite? The second parameter, that image index, that is the subimage of the sprite that is currently being displayed. Image index is a number that GameMaker has built into it, where it cycles through the number of subimages. So image index is just essentially the animation, whatever animation frame the system is currently on. So if you define the sprite speed, so for like image speed, you can slow down how fast image index goes between cycles through all of the images. And you can also set that as multiple things and make them kind of more independent. Like if I wanted this feet to go to animate at a different speed than the body, I could define my own image index values and have them cycle at different rates, and that way it would cycle through all of the sub-images at whatever speed I define them to be. Alright, so now we have our character being drawn in the correct order and the correct location. So now we need to figure out how we're going to define some of the behaviors. Now we talked about that a little bit ago. We've got, I'm just going to comment these into my code here, and I should probably be commenting more in my code now that, but I get wrapped up in the stream and talking, and then it's almost like that's my commenting, and that's not good practice. We should be commenting more in this code. So we have a couple different types of behavior. We said we want them standing, we want them wandering, we want them to follow an object, and we want them to follow a path, which is laid out by the triggers. So let's see. yeah, that about covers it. I think that's pretty much our 4 types of things. So we got 4 different types of behavior. And we're going to call that, we're going to label this behavior types. So we got 4 types of behaviors. Stand, monitor, follow, path, and there's going to be a few little sub-tweaks of that as well that we can define later inside of the trigger things. Like, for example, stand, we can have it so that they're standing there regardless of whether there's a threat in sight. So if a zombie walks by them, they'll still just stand there. Or we can have it, we can change it to have kind of more reflective behavior of that. So if they're standing there and they see an enemy, if they have a weapon, then they start shooting at the enemy and help defend. Or if they don't have a weapon, they will run away and try and find somewhere to hide and get out of the view of the zombie. But that's all going to be a little later defined, and we actually might want to define that as something, as a behavior type, because let's see, what should we call that? Alert. Yeah. So we'll define that as alert behavior, kind of like ring. There's an enemy. What do I do? Do I run? Do I shoot? Do I have a gun? Do I have a weapon? Can I shoot? All that good stuff. And we can even define the alert behavior of the NPCs even further inside the trigger events, like, whether, even if they have a gun, if they'll still run away, or stuff like that. And we could get really complicated with it, but I don't want to get. I want to get usably complicated, but not excessively complicated. And there's a fine line there. A very fine line. It's very easy to suffer from feature creep and start way overbuilding, and we don't want to do that. But I do think that the alert behavior is something that we're definitely going to have. So, those are our behavior types, which is good. So, let's see. By default, type will be stand. And we're going to use string labels for everything, all the various types and stuff, just like we do throughout the rest of the engine, just because naming conventions are good, and I like doing it this way because it makes it very easy to tell which event or type of event that I'm working with. So by default, our type is stand, and that'll be good. Now we need to actually define said behavior. So I'm going to make a switch, because we love switches. Switches are so great. They're just so great. And honestly, they are better than, stacks of nested ifs. And we don't, but I use a lot of switches in this game. Alright, so if our behavior is stand, then yeah, if our guy's standing there, I guess he's just gonna kind of look around and just hang out. So that's cool. Yeah, we can do it that way. Let's define an alarm. Our first alarm for this object. Alarm 0, and we're gonna make it iRandom. Oh, I don't know. How often should they be looking around? Let's toss something arbitrary in there because I like to do that. Arbitrary numbers. Alarm 0 equals iRandom 100. And actually, let's boost that a little bit. Let's make it 100 as a minimum. So 100 is a minimum with an additional 100 stacked on top, anywhere from 0 to 100 stacked on top of it. So anywhere between 100 and 200 is what our alarm is going to end up being. Alright, and we don't need to define any movement behavior because he's standing still. So we're going to go into our alarm 0, and we are going to define some custom behavior as far as direction. Like, okay, so our NPC's direction should equal. Actually, we're gonna do a fun little trick that I've learned, and we're gonna separate it out into 2 different direction variables. We're gonna call it a new direction. New direction equals iRandom 360. So our guy's gonna stand there in one place and pick every 100 to 200 frames. He's gonna pick a new direction to look, and it could be in any of the 360 degrees. So that's gonna be the new direction. Alright, now let's go back into here, and we're gonna say that if direction, which is the actual direction of the object, does not equal new direction, then we're going to tell it to turn and start and look in that direction. So let's see. What's going to be the best way to do that? Because we want it to be kind of smooth and also kind of varied. You know, we might be able to do a lerp there, now that I think about it. How are we going to define the lerp, though? What's the amount of the lerp? I don't know. Direction, new direction. Now we're gonna want to have the we're gonna have to hold the direction too. All right, so we need this in multiple stages. We need new direction, so we're gonna define new direction. And we're gonna find hold direction for the old Actually, we'll just call it old instead of hold. Old direction equals 0. Okay. So now, oops, we gotta go into here and say new direction equals that, old direction equals the current direction. Alright, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tell it, okay, between the old direction and the new direction, let's move it in a certain amount. How much? Well, let's see. Let's make sure that we're using the lerp function, right? Because that's not one that I use on a regular basis. Okay. So okay. So if we're looking at this, we can define it between those 2 locations, and we do it by a set number. How exactly are we going to want to do that? Because if it's a percentage, so it has to be a portion of the percentage. So I suppose we could define a percentage, couldn't we? I don't see why not. That's kind of fun, because then we could change we could change how quickly they're looking around as well. So they're kind of looking around. Which actually makes me think that we want to have an additional behavior type. Well, I don't think we need a particular, well, not a behavior type necessarily, but definitely a subset of a particular behavior, which is like look at. So we can define, okay, if you're an NPC, look at this. You know, so you'd be standing there looking at a particular console. So if you're having a little cutscene where your guy's talking about what he's seeing on screen, he's not standing there and then all of a sudden he just turns around and starts staring at the wall, even though he's supposed to be talking about the screen, because, you know, that would look stupid. So yeah, let's do that. We're going to do a couple things here. We're going to add in 2 new variables. We're going to call it let's see, let's just define it by what it is. lerp% equals 0 by default. Alright, and we're gonna have lerp gain equals 0. But when we define a new area, we are going to have lerp percent equals 0. Lerp gain equals I suppose we could do iRandom again here. iRandom, let's do iRandom, well, 1, because we want it to at least be 1. iRandom 1 plus 4 equals 5, so at most 5. So at most we're doing a 5% jump per frame between the location that we're looking at and the new location that we're going to be looking at. So that's good. That'll be a decent number. So we're going to say, and did we define that as 0? Yeah, we did. lerp% equals 0. lerp%, I would say, if lerp%, if I could spell, if lerp% is less than 100, then lerp% plus equals lerp gain. Else lerp% equals 100. So if we end up going over 100, it will bring it back down and lock it in at 100. Alright, so lerp%, that looks good to me. Okay, so now our guy's going to direction equals. There we go. So direction will equal a direction between old direction and new direction divided up by lerp%, which is then a lerp% gain, so our character will look around randomly. Yeah, I like that. So he's gonna kind of take and, well, look around. Alright, I dig it. That works. So we're just gonna leave that as the stand action, which is, you know, a good start. Now we need to figure out what other types we have. I should probably copy this over to somewhere that is also more useful, which is inside of the behavior types itself, so that I'm not having to constantly cross-reference elsewhere. Okay, so now I'm going to do wander. And wander is going to be really easy, because essentially I'm going to use the same code that the zombies use, because the zombies wander around aimlessly. And so show you what I mean here. One of these, I forget which one. No, that's attacking. This is yeah, this is the wander code. This defines the movement behavior, and I should label that just for future reference. Movement. There we go. Alright, so I created a function that's called move towards random. And move towards random is a function that will pick a random object in the level and move towards it with a couple of extra things, like for example, actually I'm not sure this will. I'll have to define some more custom behavior, because this move towards random also does is for zombie behavior of collision line. Or does it? No, I think I did separate that out, didn't I? Yeah. So this basically will define the target as any object within ooh, and that uses alarm 0, which means I'm gonna have to change a little bit if I'm gonna use that same code. I'm going to have to define this as alarm 1 instead of alarm 0 in our new NPC. So let's change that to alarm 1. There we go. Alright, so that fixes that before it became a problem. Alright, so we're going to say move towards random random object. And we should probably have it so that it's in view. So, and well, I guess we don't really necessarily have to. Yeah, we probably don't necessarily have to. What that does is, if move towards random has a secondary function that object must be in sight. So, not of the player, of the target. I need to label my stuff better. So, if it's going to move towards a random object of a particular type that is defined, so it'll move towards, a wall, a various wall, and the second is the object must be in sight. So in sight means if it's within the view cone of the character, then it will look for that object and move towards that object. If it's outside the view cone of the player or behind another wall, then the game will use some very basic pathfinding that's not super effective, because I'm just using some of the built-in pathfinding algorithms for now, and I'll probably refine that later on, but it works for now, and so I'm just going to roll with it for now, for simplicity's sake. But it will try and find a way around all the walls to get to something that's on the other side of the wall, and that makes for more. It can make for more interesting and also not behavior, because sometimes you'll see zombies, and if we add this, then you'll see NPCs that are trying to walk through walls to get to their destinations, and so they're just like running up against walls and looking stupid, which is not a particular. That's borderline acceptable for zombies, and I say borderline because it's not really acceptable behavior for zombies, but for NPCs that are supposed to be just like people, you don't see people just, randomly walking up against a wall. It just, no. Unless they're drunk, but I don't think our NPCs are drunk by default. Alright, so we're going to say move towards random wall. Oops. Move towards a random wall, but let's keep it out of sight. Well, yeah, let's make it in sight, and we'll see how that looks. We can always change it. It's just one little number if we don't like it. So that will be our wander. So our guy's just gonna wander around. That was easy. Piece of cake there. Yeah, no problem. Oh, except we also have to define that alarm 0, because the move random uses that. So target x equals -1, target y equals -1. That basically takes and resets the target after a certain period of time. So if for some reason the pathfinding fails and the zombie or the NPC cannot reach whatever it is that they are trying to reach, they're not stuck permanently trying to reach it. This resets it, and then it will look for a new object in the level to try and reach. So that I think that helps a little bit there. Let's see. What else? So that's Wander. Wander's essentially done at this point. So follow is another case that we're going to set up. Follow. And follow is very simple also, because it's going to use the same a similar function to the zombie for when the zombie sees the player. When a zombie sees the player, they move towards that player, and it'll move towards it until it reaches it. And if you break line of sight with it, then it will move to the last place that it has seen the player. So let's see. Object to follow. Object 0. Argument 1. Target equals argument 0. What is argument? What is ignore? Ignore what? Now I can't remember. That's not good. That's not good at all. Okay. Let's see, where's move towards? There it is. Go to 0. Why did I do it that way? What does ignore do? I don't know. But we'll leave it as 0, because I'm not entirely sure what that did. That's Ignore might be... I think ignore was because there was a second... Oh, that's right. Okay, so there was at one point, I had a second argument in it, and then I pulled that argument out, and I decided I didn't want to use it. So instead of ignore, we're going to say not used, because it's not actually used. But it's still there. And I could rip this out and have it so that argument 1 is not actually in here anywhere. But all of my calls to this particular script have a second argument. So that's really lazy hack programming, and that's bad. That's bad. Don't use that as use this as a bad example. Don't do that. That's bad programming practice. I should refactor that script and pull out that argument and go through all that, but I'm being lazy. I am being lazy. Alright, so for our case, move forward, follow, it'll move towards a particular our defined object that we have. And we haven't defined that object yet, so we need to do that. And, well, I mean, we're not going to necessarily define it, but we're going to call it follow obj. Follow object equals, and we're just going to leave it as blank. Actually, it's not going to be blank. Follow object 0. Because... Actually, we're going to call it character. That's just going to be default. By default, if it follows something, it's going to follow the character. We'll define the trigger system will actually go in and redefine that behavior later on when we set up the triggers for that to do so. So, move towards, follow obj 0, which is our non-used argument, and there we go. So now our character, our NPC, will move. If followed, it'll move towards whatever object we tell it to follow, like another NPC or, you know, a character. We could even have like a chain of things where one NPC follows another NPC, and that NPC follows another NPC, and that NPC follows the character. So we have like this train of following if we wanted to do it that way. That actually kind of sounds like fun, but we'll have to see how that actually turns out. Okay, so follow. And the next one's going to be path. Case path. And in the case of path, this is also going to be something very... it's going to use a very similar thing. It's going to move towards... It's going to use actually the same function. Towards path... should we call it path object? I guess it'd be path trig, because, well, it doesn't have to be a trig. Like, we could define it as going to a particular location. We connect it and go to this switch, connect it to a switch, or go to this door, so we could go to a particular door. So we'll call it a path object. All right, and we're gonna call that path, 0, of course. But that path object is gonna have to be defined as well. Path J equals well, let's just stick it in as a character for now, because we know there's going to be a character object. There doesn't necessarily have to be any other object in the game, but there has to be a character object. So we know that the character object will exist. Alright, so if we go through here, path is going to be moved towards path object. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So both follow and path use very similar it uses a similar enough mechanic that I could probably condense those two down and just have both follow and path do the same thing. At least behind the scenes. Just for simplicity's sake, for the user interface and for understanding what's going on, I'm going to define them as two separate things. Follow this, path is, connect the dots. And while the mechanics behind the scenes are, as far as I can think off the top of my head, the exact same, the difference to the designer and understanding what's going on, because if you say follow a trigger, it's gonna go up to that trigger and just run into the trigger. But maybe I could define it as something easy. Well, no, just for easiness sake, because again, sometimes you have to sacrifice programming efficiency for user ability, or usability, I suppose I should say. So yeah, we're gonna call this one of those cases. So path just follows path object, and alert is another behavior which is going to be a little bit more complex, because it's going to take all kinds of additional definitions and all kinds of additional stuff that I'm not even sure exactly what it's going to take right now. So actually, let's leave it out until I can have a better idea of what I want the alert thing to do, because I don't want to build it and then have to tear it all back down and rebuild it if I decide I want to do it differently. So yeah, wander, follow, path, stand. Those are our four basic ones that we started with. And an alert I might define an alert as like a sub behavior. maybe I'll do it that way. I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna sleep on that one and figure out exactly what I want to do with that a little bit more before I start building on it. But yeah, this is basically going to define this defines our behaviors. And I could probably mix in a little bit more fun stuff. Right now, it's very simple. This is cool because we can, turn and look in a different direction, all that kind of stuff. But these are just going straight point to point. And we might want to, we'll probably add a little bit more, life to that later on. But we want to at least make sure that this is working right first. One thing that I forgot is that in the draw function, we're also going to have to define the rotation of the sprites. So we have to use draw sprite extended, which gives us a little bit more control over what we're drawing. So we have scale, which we're just going to have 1 because we're not changing the scale. The rotation, though, is direction. And actually, now that I think about it, it might be like direction minus 90, because the way that everything is drawn, it's drawn vertically, but 0 is actually to the right. So let's see. When I draw my character, how do I draw him? Yep, direction minus 90. Okay, that's what I thought. Alright, so we're going to do direction minus 90. And then, I could just take and rotate the sprite to the right, but I'm lazy, because that would require redoing a lot of other stuff, and so I'll just stick with my original plan here. Direction minus 90. And actually there's more that I need to define here. Rotation color is C white, which is just default color. It doesn't add any color or subtract any color from it. Transparency is 1 because we want it to be fully I forgot the term I'm trying to think of. Fully there. Non-transparent at all. Opaque. That's the word. Opaque. We want it to be fully opaque, so we want it to be 1. Cool. Okay, so that's going to draw our NPC, and the NPC is going to be now facing the direction that it's supposed to be, and all of that good stuff. So I think we've got some really basic NPC behavior here. We can go in and define this as we go, which I like that idea. We'll be able to experiment with it a little bit. Now what we need, let's drop this into game objects. Well, one of the important things is collisions, of course. If we run into if we run into things, we want it to stop. Let's see, how are we going to do that? Are we going to do it the same way the zombies do it, with collision corrections? Yeah, we might do it that way. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just copy this entire code. Alright, that's essentially my fancy collision detection stuff. And we're gonna paste it in here. So yeah, we're gonna have it move first and then do positional corrections depending on if it's running into various objects. So now we have collisions. Otherwise our NPCs would be able to walk through walls, and we don't want them to be able to do that. So that's good. Let me think, what else do we need off the top of my head? All objects need a few defined things like these. pretty sure that that's all I need. Let's see. Life definitely has inputs. Well, yeah, that's another one that's important. Is whether it has inputs. And that's, yeah, has inputs, input list exists. Yeah. Okay. So let's add those in there. These are necessary for our trigger system. Hey. I think I got a loose connection in my keyboard somewhere, because every once in a while my keyboard just ups and quits on me. There it goes. Doo-doo, doo-doo. Alright. Has inputs equals 0, and input list exists, and those variables are part of the fancy trigger system. Alright, so life, the NPC is invulnerable, so a zombie can munch on its face forever and not do anything. The NPCs aren't really usable objects. You can't use an NPC, so we don't need can use and all that stuff. So let's pull that out, just to reduce confusion. But it does have to have life, and it does have to have has inputs, and input list exists, both of which are defining whether an object has connections to a trigger. So let's see. Okay, I think our NPC is pretty much ready to be dropped into the game and tested. So one of the things we're going to need to do is define a mode for that, because I haven't added the NPCs into the user interface system, like for the objects yet, because we just started making them. So I can't. The only way that I'm going to be able to let's see, and it's going to have essentially the same behavior as enemy. So we're going to copy this. Copy this behavior. This is for the editor tool, to be able to tell the editor tool to create particular types of things. We're going to call this NPC. Case NPC. We're going to destroy or create an NPC object, depending on whether we're in place mode or delete mode with the control key. So that's good. Now what we need to do is we need to have a way to switch the type of the editor tool to NPCs. And let's see, we've already used up 1 through 0 as hotkeys, which is kind of unfortunate. I would be nice to have a few more for that, but let's use minus for now, at least for now, until I can think of something better. Board minus, and actually, yeah, I think that's necessary. Board minus. All right, we're going to change it as type NPC, editor mode, trigger mode. Yep, it will turn off trigger mode. Okay, and we need to have it so that it draws itself properly. Where's our enemy? Here we go. So we're going to do the same thing. Copy the enemy and paste it here. Case is NPC. And draw sprite extended. Yeah, we're gonna have to draw like several sprites here, actually, aren't we? Similar to the player. Yeah. So instead, let's copy this. It's gonna be easier. NPC, not NPO, NPC. All right. Draw feet, body, head. Head is, let's just draw first head. That'll be fine. Alright. Not the first, the first head after the default player head. So that's good. Okay. Now we need to define the actual behavior. Yeah, that's where that is. So, oops. It's too big. Case. Dropping in the NPC on left click, create, or destroy. Okay. One thing that we definitely need to do is we need to go in, now that I'm thinking about it, is we need to make sure that the NPC behaviors are only used if we are in the game room. Game room. Okay. Oops. Game room. There we go. So that way, if we tell our NPC to wander and we place him in the level editor, he doesn't just start wandering. That would be really annoying from a level editing standpoint. Alright. Oh, do we risk it? And what I mean is, do we risk placing one in the level? Well, not yet. Not yet. Because we have to tell the level to, or the game to save it. If we don't have the engine save it, guess what? And there's actually going to be additional things that we're going to be doing, but that's fine. We'll define those as we figure them out. But we'll have this be with NPC. So every NPC needs to write its object index, its location, how much life it has, its name. That's right, I forgot about names. We're definitely going to have names. So where's its name? Name, yeah, okay. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Here we go. That's another one that we're going to have to define. Name equals nothing. No name by default. We'll just have a random, no-named NPC character, which is, you know, that's cool. That works. Okay, so that is that part. Let's see. Right. We were saving it. Going into the save level. Save level. So save level, we just added that new functionality so it will write all of its stuff. Object, X, Y, life, and name. We're going to have to add in the behavior type and behavior actions and all that stuff in there as well. But for starters, that'll be fine. Because there's no external things defining that at this point. So let's go ahead and copy this. And if you notice, this is important, just from a different perspective, alright? So we have our zombie. This is for loading the level. So when it loads a level, it pulls out the zombie and all this kind of stuff. Now, in earlier releases of Dread, there was not a way to name the zombies. It wasn't until the trigger system was introduced that I added the name functionality to zombies. So basically, any version prior to 1.0.4. So, and this is interesting because I'm going to have to change that too. That's because actually we're on version 1.0.4 right now anyway. But I made this extra thing here to add in kind of like reverse, some backwards compatibility, so that if the version that's saved in the file in the save file doesn't equal the current version, then we're looking at that if it's then it's going to skip looking for the name, because if it doesn't skip looking for the name, it's going to mess up the rest. It'll corrupt the game file. So that's just kind of an interesting thing, and actually reminds me that I need to update that. What am I doing? I got sidetracked. Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked. Okay, here we go. We're putting in the NPC load, which is fine. NPCs didn't exist before, so we don't have to do that check. So that's our NPC. Hold X, hold life, blah 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 blah. New instant. Yep. Okay, cool. Now, so there we go. Now, in theory, when we hit play, we are going to be able to load up our level editor. We are going to be able to press the minus key to select the NPCs. We're going to drop our NPC into the levels, and then when we hit play, we will be able to test and our NPC. We're going to have to manually define the behavior inside the character code until we can include the level trigger connectivity. But for now, it'll probably, I do say probably, it'll probably be fine. So let's take and make, I don't know, just generic level something. There we go. Alright, and we're going to put our player in there. Okay, and we want to put our NPC. I don't know if that's, let's see, let's switch to a different thing. Yeah, see, minus key, the minus key's not working. It's not switching over to that behavior, to that. Well, that's unfortunate, but let's go ahead and save this game. Save this level. We're going to call this NPC test. Save. Okay. So it saves it as NPC test. Cancel. Blah, blah, blah. We're now inside of triggers for some reason. I don't know why. That was weird. Huh. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, NPC test. And that's fine. Okay, so let's close out the game. Now let's go in and figure out what about our editor tool is not accepting that as switching over to. And, you know, I wonder if there is a minus. Let's see if there is. Maybe it's defined as that. VK minus. VK subtract. There it is. VK subtract. That's a subtract key on the numerical keypad. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Let's see. Let's define it as something easy, because I just want to get it rolling here. For testing purposes, we're gonna call it N. So I don't think I have an ORD N in here anywhere. Let's find out. I search all the resources. I don't think I'm using N anywhere. ORD. Do we have ORD N anywhere? Found N. Show question. Ah, okay, that's just our hotkey. Okay, that'll be fine. Oh goodness. Alright, well, I'm going to take just a really quick break. We'll leave you here listening to Access to Arasaka. I got to use the restroom real quick, and I will be right back quick as I can.
There was no loss of capability, no loss of true functionality whatsoever.
Right. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Hello everyone. I'm back. I hope the music was entertaining during the lull. Alright. Now let's see. We were checking to see if N was used, and it is in a way, but it won't conflict with how we want to use it. So we're going to use it that way. Alright, 0 ord N. Alright, for N for NPC, right? Yeah, sounds great. Okay, so let's see if that was what the problem. Because for some reason, ord doesn't seem to necessarily work for some characters. At least it doesn't seem to work correctly for some characters, and I'm not sure why that is. And it's kind of annoying, but you know what? Whatever. N. Create a new level. Oh no. Well, we don't want that. Oh, look at that. There's a little NPC. He's going way too fast. Look at that. We get random. Now we've got 4 random NPCs. I suppose we better build a level around them. There we go. That's close enough, right? Close enough. Stick our player in there. This should be interesting. Man, it looks like they're hauling butt. We're definitely going to have to slow their animation speed down a little bit. Not a problem. That's easy enough. I actually talked about doing that earlier. So let's see. Let's save this. This is an NPC test. We're just going to override it. Wow, I'm like placing objects all over the place. What is going on here? That should not be happening. I don't know why it's doing that. Alright, so, first error. Target X, target Y. Point distance, target X, target Y. Huh, yeah, okay. That makes sense. Stop. Alright. I forgot about to define target X and target Y. Shame on me. For shame. Target X equals -1, because it doesn't have a target X or Y yet. That is to be defined by move towards random. Alright, we're going to save it, we're going to play it, and let's see what other errors pop up when we try to play it. I probably could have slowed the animation down, but you know, well, whatever. Might be interesting seeing him like running in place like that. Oh, let's see if it loads properly. Hey, look, it loaded properly. That's good. Why did it place another? It placed another player there. I don't want another player there. We just want it like that. Yeah, that's fine. Play. Okay, save and play. Must surface reset target for each set? Unbalanced surface set. Huh. That's a new one. Is that NPC related? Or is that part of something else I was trying to do? That's the question. Alright, let's load up the cell. We know that one works. Play the cell. What? Man, I am messing something up here. Look at all these triggers that I'm accidentally creating. Play the cell. Ah, see? It's something else I must have been working on. Okay, so let's search in scripts for surface set target. And let me see if I can figure out where I was screwing up. for event zombie. Yeah. Draw control is doing everything that draw control is supposed to be doing. Pretty much almost all of them are that. So where? Shading surface for the windows. That's an interesting error. I'm trying to think of what have I changed anything? Well, that's an interesting error. Have I changed anything? I haven't changed any of the other surfaces that I know of. Well, let's see. Is it something inside of the zombies? Surface set target, surface reset target. Well, I suppose an easy way to find that is to... Well, I've got surface set targets, so let's match up our surface set targets with our surface reset targets. There's not that many. Okay. Surface create, surface create, surface create. Alright, surface set target, set target, set target, set target, set target, surface reset target. Else, if goal.surfInit equals 0. Okay, so that's good in theory. That's all for the create event. So then in the draw event, for object draw control, that's where it might be messed up. So we want to say surface set target, draw wall shadows, right? Yeah. Okay, so this surface set target, draw wall shadows. Okay. So let's see, its matching surface reset target is down here somewhere. Should be at the very end of this whole entire code group. If character.life, yes, that's all draw primitives. Surface set target, draw surface, set surface set target, draw surface set target, surface set target, surface set target, surface set target, surface set target. At the end of this massive code block is surface reset targets. That's good. Draw surface, if so, draw the game world. Surface reset target is at the end of all of that too. So surface reset target is at the end of this entire stack, so everything that's going on here is all fine and good, because it gets reset. And that's all surface create, so it doesn't actually set the surfaces. I'm having trouble seeing where it's having a problem. And it's not exactly the most descriptive of error messages. Unbalanced surface stack. You must use surface reset target for each set. Yeah, I know that. Where are you missing it? Where? This is completely useless. Well, not completely. It's just mostly useless. Okay. Let's let's start disabling things and see if we can't figure it out from there. 1 equals 2, which we'll never do, so it will not draw any of the wall shadows. That's gonna erase this entire chunk, and it will draw the game world then. But that will prevent that entire chunk from happening. So if it's in that chunk, we'll know. Is it in that chunk? Nope. Okay. Let's see. It's not in that chunk. So we can get rid of that. Alright, so that chunk is good. That massive chunk of code. And 1 equals 2. Alright, well actually let's go ahead and leave that disabled. 1 equals 2. If we just start disabling all of these and then work our way backwards. Then we might be able to define what's going on. Nope. Unbalanced surface stack. Okay, so nothing in this entire multi-hundred script line thing is active right now. Nothing. So all of that is disabled. So it has nothing to do with any of that. Next is surface create. Nope, that's not it. Where is it? Here we go. Surface set target. Surface set target. Surface set target. Other surface set targets. Surface reset target. Okay. Else, if 1 equals 2, which it cannot. Alright, let's try that. So it doesn't look like it's anything inside of draw control. Hey, look at that! If you wanted to see what the game looks like without shadows, now you can. Oh, look at that. You can see the walls starting to populate themselves, and the doors are starting to draw themselves as they pop into view of the player. This is actually kind of cool, looking at it. Wow, that's the old demo level. Ha! That's not even drawing the zombies. That makes sense, actually. How did I pull up the old demo level? Where did it even pull the old demo level from? Huh. That's interesting. Oh well. Anyway, that's what the game looks like without shadows. So yeah, there's something inside here. This right here. Draw surf 0, 1, 2. Surface set targets. Surface reset target is right there. Right there. Surface set target. Surface set target. Surface set target. Draw surf 0, 1, and 2. It's not drawing 3, which is fine. Init room gray surfaces, yep. Scene surf 1 and scene surf 2. Surface reset target. Okay, let's slowly start enabling the rest of this. Actually, not even slowly. Let's just straight on enable these because we know, in theory anyway, that those are not what is messing stuff up. It's what's going on in the create event, oddly enough. Surface reset target. I don't have anything else that says surface set target. View surface ID 0 equals draw surf. This resets the target. Okay, let's run it again. Try playing it and figuring out what we are missing. Alright. Single player. Go in. Aha! Look at that. This is disabled. This has me concerned. Alright, let's disable all of them again. Okay. So now they're all disabled. Everything that draws to a surface is disabled. Right? Okay. Surface set target, surface reset target. Everything that draws to a surface is currently disabled. I'm going to try an experiment that better work. Or I should say better not work. Surface set target, I don't know, global dot draw surf 0. Surface reset target. Okay, so everything is disabled except for that. Now let's do one little tiny thing, make sure everything's working. Star, so we're going to comment that out. I'm going to run the game. Okay. Single player. Game runs. Okay, game is working. We can see it. Game is working. Cool. Now, if we uncomment this and we run it, what happens? Okay, it still works just fine. Okay, that's good. Alright, let's clear the cache and start slowly re-enabling things and see what happens. Alright, so let's re-enable this and get rid of this. Because sometimes, and this has happened before, the game, I've had weird glitches happen that I've spent like hours trying to figure out, and it turned out that something had glitched in this cache, so in the compile cache, and by simply clearing the cache, it cleared out the problem because it was something that GameMaker was doing, not something that I had done, and I was like, "Are you serious? Really? I can't believe that. It took me that long to try that." So I'm going to do that here, and we're going to see if we can start enabling things bit by bit and get it to work. Nope. Look at that. Unbalanced surface stack. You must use surface reset for each... Hold on. You must use surface reset target for each set? As in that we must use surface reset target for each set target? What? When did that become a thing? Okay, let's try that as an experiment. Really simple, really quick, really easy experiment. Surface set target, 1, surface reset target. Okay, right? We're setting the new target, we're setting another target, and then we're resetting it back to the default target. Is this a new thing? Because that it's absolutely a new thing if this doesn't work. It's a new thing. This is a new... Why is... Why? That doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? Why would they change that? You must use surface reset target for each set. I assume it means set target. So if you set the surface target and then you have to reset it before setting it to another target? That obviously that didn't used to be the case because the entire engine is built around that not being the case. Let's look that up. That's something that's going to require a little bit of research. Alright, so we're in, let's pop this open and look for the GameMaker changelog. Alright, Google, come on. What's up? There we go. GameMaker Studio changelog. Release notes. Because that is absolutely a new thing. Alright. Push notifications, blah blah blah. Surface crop platform. Application surface cross-platform drawing method. Huh. Let's find where it says surface. If it says surface anywhere. Surface. Set. Yeah. Surface reset target seems broken when calling it in different step as surface set target. We're not even calling it in a different, I mean, it depends on what they define as a step, I suppose. But this has been working for a long, but the way I've been doing it has been working for a long time. Reset. Addressed issues. Surface reset target seems broken when calling it a different step. So, what exactly is going on here? I think it got broken. I think in the latest update, it got broken. I wonder if that has anything to do with how they applied the new application surface cross-platform drawing method. I'm guessing so. So okay, so here's how the game is supposed to work. From a a development perspective, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. It's okay. When you're changing surfaces, which are basically like canvases that you can draw on and then layer into your game however you want, which is what creates the really cool view effect in Dread, you set a surface target, and then you draw to whatever every draw function after that draws specifically to that surface. And then if you are to set another surface, surface set target, then you're just switching targets to another surface, a defined surface, and then drawing to that one instead. Now, at the end of all of that, you have to do surface reset target. At the end of a stack of these things, all stacking up, it's switching around between the different targets and all that. You did have to use surface reset target to bring it back to the normal game drawing, to reset it to normal game drawing, and where it draws all the layers and stuff on the normal game canvas. But now it appears that you can't just change a surface target and then switch targets to a different target, and then you have to set a target and then switch target. Before you switch targets, you have to reset back to the default canvas and then set to the next surface, which is really annoying. Actually, I don't know why they did that. They must have their reasons. I'm seeing this cross-platform drawing, surface drawing, that could easily have something to do with it. So what that means is that I'm going to have to go through and not redefine, because I'm not really redefining anything, but I'm going to have to reset every time that I switch to a different surface to draw to it, I have to reset the target immediately after, essentially immediately before, that's going to be the easiest way to do it, immediately before switching to another surface. So we switch to another surface, switch to another surface, and then we switch to another surface. Alright, now, in theory, this is still theoretical at this point because this is all disabled, but if I go actually I could test this right now. Bam bam, there we go. Let's see if that generates that same error. It shouldn't. It should not generate an error this time. And if it doesn't, then we have a fix, and we can implement that fix, but that's a pretty annoying thing that I was not expecting. Alright, single player. Whee! Yep, that fixed it. Okay, so that's what we're going to have to do. Now, fortunately, I don't have a whole lot of those surface set targets. We did do, we're going to have to search for it. Yeah, so we searched for surface set target. Every single one of these is going to have, well, not every single one, because I've already added like 4 of them, but we're going to have to do it. So it's going to, just a little bit of bouncing back and forth and bouncing around to be able to do it. Let's see, how much time do we have? How much time have we spent so far on today? I'm curious. So we've got, about 10 minutes left till we hit the 2-hour quote-unquote stopping point. I would have liked to have been able to test out my NPCs, but this was not a problem that I was anticipating encountering at all. So let's adapt to this new issue. Adapt and overcome. Alright, so we're going to enable this again because we can. We're going to get rid of this because that was our tester. And now we're going to have to find everywhere that it says. Alright, let's just do that. Find surface set target. Set. Alright, so if we find surface set, the first one is fine because that's just defining the first one. Where's the next one? Next one is right there. Okay, so now we reset the target. Alright, and now we're going to reset the target, and we're going to reset the target. And this is something good to know. Actually, very good to know. And I'm probably going to post this discovery on the GameMaker subreddit so that people, if they come up against this error, they'll know exactly why the error is occurring, and we'll be able to fix it without having to go through the whole process of figuring out why it's broken in the first place that I had to do. So there we go. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's going to fix our drawing issues. So let's see. Now let's re-enable both of those functions, run the game, and hopefully it's not broken. We'll find out shortly, I suppose. Before even loading up the level editor and all that, I'm just going to drop us into a single player level and see if it's working. Hey, look at that! What the hell? Did that break my entire engine? Because it kind of looks that way. I'm seeing a lot of brokenness going on right now. Ow. And I'm being eaten to death by an invisible zombie, but that's okay, I'm invisible too, so yeah. Well, can we figure out where we're going wrong here? Because that would be really useful. Surface set target. So it draws there. Draws. Surface reset target. I'm not gonna lie. I am genuinely concerned at this point. I am genuinely concerned at this point. Because what I'm seeing here is a I suppose you could say a broken surface system. And you know, it might not necessarily. Well, let's see here. Surface set target, scene surf 2. Surf 2. Draw surface, draw surface. Surface reset target. Set surface. Uh-huh. Yeah. This is not good, guys. This is really not good. And I mean, this is bad. This is so bad. Unless I missed a surface set target somewhere. Surface set target. First one. Surface set target. Next surface set target has a, yep. Next one has, yep. Next one has, yep. Yep, yep. Yep, yep. No more occurrences. Well, it looks like things are all screwed up. It looks like yeah, it basically looks like things are screwed up. Okay. Well, I am on the beta channel, which is where stuff gets screwed up. I think that in the interest of continuing work on Dread in the near future, I'm going to uninstall GameMaker, reinstall it, and set myself up on the stable channel, build channel, so that when it pushes out updates, it only pushes out quote-unquote stable updates. That should be fine. That should fix whatever's broken in the draw surface system that is causing this major hang-up in the development process. So I think that's what we'll do. And so next time that you see me, I'll probably be writing version 1.2 instead of 1.3, because 1.3 is the beta. And I'll be experimenting with some stuff and trying to figure out exactly what. Hopefully that fixes it. And if that doesn't fix it, then I don't know. I don't even know. That should fix it though. But if it doesn't, I'm gonna have to tackle it some other way. Some way that I'm not even sure off the top of my head how I'm gonna even pull that off. But you know what? I'm not even worried about it. That'll be water under the bridge. Or I should say I'll cross that bridge when I get there. For now, it's water under the bridge. I'm pretty sure that all I have to do is roll back to an earlier version of GameMaker that's not in beta, testing out new features, because right now the new features have broken my game. I'm not faulting GameMaker for that at all. I did have my stuff set up for the beta channel, and betas have bugs, and that's, we all know that. This is not GameMaker's fault. They're trying new stuff. They're innovating new stuff. And they're gonna have to find issues as they go. I will report the bug that I have found that my code has seemed to have broken. I'll try and make like something easier for them to be able to experiment with it and see where it's broken. I don't know how exactly, but because I'm not sure where it's broken, but. I will report that there is a bug in it, that the game is broke, that the engine is broken, but only on the newest version with their new Surface system, their cross-platform Surface system. Yeah, I will, like I said, I will revert for next week back down to 1.2 or whatever the latest stable build is, and so that we can continue work on the game. So yeah, I think that's a good stopping point for us. We've hit our 2-hour limit, and that's all fun and good. Next week we'll be able to test out our new NPCs, play around with some of their behaviors, and experiment and see that. And then we'll also work on connecting up the triggers to have them be able to connect to the NPCs and define the NPC's behavior and all of that good stuff. So we got some great stuff coming up next week. This week we got some good stuff done. We've got the baseline NPCs put into the game. I think that they work. We didn't really get a chance to test it, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll do that next week. And we found a major bug inside of the beta version of GameMaker. So woohoo, go us, right? All right. So that's what we're going to end it with. Thank you all for watching. Very much appreciate it, and I will see you all next week.